Welcome to The Cosmic Codex, exploring our science fiction universe. With science fiction author Brian Scott Pauls. AI voiceover created using Mike Monster.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brian. This is the Cosmic Codex podcast episode for Friday, August 7, 2026. 3 years ago, Josephine Saxton won the Cordwainer Smith Rediscovery Award, which elevates the work of deserving but lesser-known science fiction and fantasy writers. The Hieros Gamos of Sam and Ann Smith hit bookstore shelves in 1969. It carried the imprint name Doubleday Science Fiction. It's not science fiction. Not by today's standards, at least. If this book were published today, the publisher would label it magical realism or something like that. Ostensibly, it's a post-apocalyptic narrative. A boy, no dog here, sorry, walks through the countryside of a nearly deserted England. At first, the world seems very post-apocalyptic. The boy is traveling alone and on foot. The environs are very quiet. The song of a bird makes him cry with joy. What sort of apocalypse is this? The boy's not seeking help, perhaps an adult who could offer food and shelter. In fact, he's avoiding others at all costs. What do we have here? A plague? Perhaps a zombie plague? George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead did come out a year before this book. The boy hears a sound. He thinks it's some sort of animal, maybe a rabbit. It turns out to be a newborn baby girl, the umbilical cord still attached to her dead mother. The boy's reaction is to back away immediately. Then Saxton throws us a curveball and says the boy was 14 years old. He had been walking alone now for 10 years. What? This kid has been walking alone, avoiding people whenever possible since he was 4 years old? It just gets weirder. The boy chooses to rescue the baby, even though he has no idea how to care for her. Against his better judgment based on rules he's learned from someone, apparently at the age of 3 or 4. He carries the baby to an empty town, and he finds a grocery store. It's got an automatic door that still functions after a decade. The power is still on. It has shelves still stocked with soda water and condensed milk. Then he locates a bathhouse with functioning toilets and a pool still filled with chlorinated water, which Saxton tells us is heated to about 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Then he discovers an indoor shopping mall, also fully stocked. The heating and even a coffee machine still work. This is a very odd apocalypse. The issue here is we're not reading science fiction. We've been hoodwinked by Doubleday's marketing department. Apocalypse isn't a literal end of the civilization scenario in this instance. It's a stand-in for something else. This book is about the differences between boys and girls on the one hand and women and men on the other. The world is empty the way the adult world is mostly invisible to children. Children are primarily the inhabitants of their own needs, desires, and imaginations. This is symbolized by a monument of a man on a horse the boy finds in the empty village. The inscription reads, "To the memory of those brave men of the town of Thingy who gave their lives in the First World War." According to Oxford Languages, in British English, thingy means a person or thing whose name one has forgotten, does not know, or does not wish to mention. No town of Thingy exists in Great Britain. We're reading an allegory or a parable, not a narrative to be interpreted literally. Saxton chooses to call her protagonist the boy, but gives him preferences and qualities 60s readers would have associated primarily with girls. He abhors being dirty, constantly longs for a bath and shampoo to wash his luxurious golden curls, and he loves nail polish. He enthuses over painting his nails bright red. He spends a lot of time picking out clothes and chooses a bottle of cologne literally named Femme. This could be considered queer coding, but I think Saxton is implying that boys and girls are more similar to one another than are men and women. And the boy has yet to experience this transformation. Saxton also gives the boy a strong aversion to death. He backs away when he finds the baby's dead mother. When he reads the plaque on the World War I memorial, he falls to the ground, and Saxton says he howls with grief. She's telling us we don't raise our children to understand death. It's alien to them. So it's not unreasonable for a teenage boy to react with sadness, depression, even fear when confronted with its reality. Children also are inherently selfish, and Saxton believes we grow out of this by having children of our own. In the shopping mall, the boy leaves the baby sleeping by herself so he can pick out a new outfit. This takes a lot of time because he's very particular about his looks. He only remembers the baby when it's nearly dark, and then only because she starts crying somewhere on a floor below. He tries to find his way back, becomes confused, and then lays down and goes to sleep, even though he knows she could suffer a horrible fate. We know he's aware of this because he wakes in the night and hears her crying, and he fears she might be killed and eaten by rats. But he chooses to stay where he is and go back to sleep instead of going to help her. But it's the baby who causes the boy to make room in his life for someone else. We learn this when he finally returns to her in the morning. He's struck by guilt and promises her to never leave her by herself in the future. Finally, Saxton depicts a vital interdependence between the sexes in which we raise one another to maturity. To say much more would stray into spoilers, so I will just say that the boy and the girl lived together in the shopping mall for many years. He acts as her protector and teacher. How their relationship changes when the girl reaches maturity will shock the sensibilities of many contemporary readers who insist on interpreting the story literally. But for Saxton, it's all part of the parable. The girl, who has become a young woman, now takes on the role of a teacher for the boy, who has become an adult male while remaining emotionally stunted. She guides him into what it means, in her estimation, to be a man prepared to take on his responsibilities in the modern society of Saxton's 1969. They have both been prepared for their roles, and they have accepted them willingly. At this point, the metaphor around them dissolves into an adult world waiting to welcome them. I wouldn't have read this book if it hadn't been presented as science fiction. I'm glad I read it. Some ideas seem dated, but Saxton presents a female character stronger than her male counterpart. She eventually completes his character formation as a responsible adult. This book is not recommended if you expect a post-apocalyptic adventure tale or if you're shocked by metaphors that come across as highly transgressive to current readers if taken literally. It's highly recommended if you want to read a mid-century argument about human nature and changes in the relations between the sexes framed as a surreal parable.
Artificial intelligence tools performed multiple tasks in the creation and publication of this podcast. Please share your thoughts about this episode by commenting online in the original article at thecosmiccodex.com. You can also find source links in the online text. Don't miss an article. Subscribe today to the Cosmic Codex email newsletter at thecosmiccodex.com. Thank you for listening.